Oh, hi!
Well, hi, gang. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Thank
to
you for visiting us again at
behind the scenes
with Santa and Mrs.
Mrs.
Claus.
Claus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
boy. And I'll tell you what, we keep jumping around and doing different things, but
We
we were
do.
talking just the other morning and we said, you know what we haven't told anybody about yet or really gotten into the details. We've mentioned it, but not really. But
Said
I
anything.
was on stage.
Yes, you were.
I
Yes.
was I was actually in a very decent Christmas production
Oh,
in Pigeon
absolutely.
Forge.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, I was with several people that America's Got Talent had stars in there, and that I worked with and were on stage
Well,
with
I
me.
think we should
And
step back.
okay,
Let's
I'm getting ahead of
yes.
myself. I do this,
A lot of time.
I do.
So let's just give you a little background. This was, as he said, in Pigeon Forge,
Hmm.
Tennessee, and there actually are several dinner shows along the boulevard there, and most of them are comical or musical or something like that, but they're actually really good shows. And it's a big production. It's not something that they just gather a few folk and throw them on stage.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Pigeon Forge, or if
Yes.
you've ever been to Branson, Missouri,
Well, yeah,
same thing.
same idea.
And there's
Exactly.
a lot of theaters there,
Yeah.
and they do some very nice productions. I
They do.
mean,
Uh-huh.
nothing to be ashamed about, for Hollywood or anything.
No.
They do some neat, or New York.
Yeah,
They do some neat productions there.
they do, and it's all family oriented.
Hmm.
And quite a few of them actually, and this one in particular was a dinner show.
Yes.
So they
Hmm.
they serve dinner and as well as providing all this wonderful entertainment.
Now, those going to Pigeon Forge are going, which theater is he talking about?
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, it's not there as you knew it
Yes.
now. It's Hatfield and McCoy's, but
Uh-huh.
at the time that I did this, it was the Black Bear
There.
Jamboree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you, we had a good crowd every night. I mean,
Mhm.
it was amazing.
Well, at Christmas time again, obviously the summertime is a peak season for them, but actually so is Christmas.
Yes.
A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, come and visit at Christmas time, and they
Do the Christmas in the Smokies thing.
yeah, they rent
Yes.
cabins and
Mhm.
they do all kinds of things. So yeah, so Christmas there was a big deal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So anyway, they invited me to
Yes.
be in this production they were doing at Christmas, and even more so, they wanted me to greet the guests as they
Mhm.
came in. Because I mean, here they had Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So by all means, let's say hello to all the people coming in and having
Mhm.
dinner and seeing the show.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you, it was an absolute blast. I mean, they made a particular little setup for me for both the first and the second acts,
Mhm.
and I was on stage both times. And just one of the more unique things I've ever done as
Yes.
Santa
I
Claus.
would have to
And
say.
I
Yes.
would venture to say most
Mhm.
Santas don't get a chance to do this.
No.
Um,
No.
but I'll tell you, it was a blast. I had my own dressing room and everything, and.
Well, and that's one of the things he's going to talk about a little bit is what behind the scenes on that show, because it was a pretty big show. They
Oh,
would have
yeah.
how many performers do you think they had? About
Oh God.
20 or
Oh, more than that.
more?
They had about 35,
35?
35 performers between the dancers and the
Yeah,
singers,
yeah.
and they did multiple numbers, so
Yes.
everything
Oh
kept
yeah.
changing.
This was
I
a.
mean, they did a little bit of patriotic stuff. They did a lot of Christmas stuff, obviously,
Uh-huh.
but then they,
Christian.
Christian music.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they really tried to appeal to all the demographics.
Yeah.
When people came in there, everyone was able to leave with one favorite of theirs from that.
And about how long was the show? About an hour, do you think?
An hour. Basically, the show itself ran for about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, because there was actually a break.
Oh, that's right.
In between.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So where we all went back and changed costumes or stuff, or not me, of course, but everybody else.
Yeah.
and actually, they did a lot of that during the performance. So they'd come out and do one number, and they'd be all in satin and silk, and then they'd run back, and then and 10 minutes later they're back out again, and this time they have sequins and all this
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
and it was, I mean, the costuming alone was incredible for
Yes.
these shows.
Yes.
And if you've ever seen these shows, it's really kind of fun to see all the different changes and the things
Yes.
that they do.
Yes.
And of course, they had props, they had wagons, they had sleighs, they had everything.
All kind, and of course, in the performers, that didn't include all the back staff of having to
Oh yeah,
help move
yeah.
some of the props and different things, and then of course they did have full-time seamstresses, because those clothes were made on the production there. They were
I
just,
even had a couple of my suits made by one of the
Yeah,
seamstresses,
yeah,
the
yeah.
head seamstress that was
yeah,
there.
that's right.
And she
that's
did
right.
a phenomenal job,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she even made me a tuxedo,
That's right.
which
Yeah.
I still have. In
Yes.
fact, if you ever go on our at thenorthpolepress.com and look at our gallery, I think you've got a picture of that up there.
I don't know if I
Well,
do,
then you
but
need
if
to.
I'll have to put it up.
Now that I've said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just incredible costuming and
Yes.
everything else that went along with that show.
Yeah.
And just an awful lot of fun. And of course, the patrons had a blast.
Uh-huh.
So, and they would, it's fun. I greeted everybody going in, but what was fun is the cast would come out after the show,
Yes.
and people would talk to the cast
and
and
get
tell them how much
autographs
they
and
love it, and get
yeah,
autographs,
yeah,
and
yeah.
tell, people would tell them how much they loved the show, and and how much they enjoyed it. So it was really just, and unfortunately, I only got to do that. Was it 1 year or 2?
Was 1 year.
Just the 1 year.
1 year.
But boy,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there was something that obviously I haven't forgotten about and probably never will. But just one of those unusual things that if you're a Santa Claus and if you take your trait to heart, you'd be surprised where you can wind up and what you can wind up doing. Now, I may never have that chance again, but I've had it and I've done it and I enjoyed it
Yeah.
to the hilt. So, and
Well, and one of the
thank
things
you.
I remember you saying to me too, which is, I always kind of wondered about that when you had shows where, repeat performances, and they had 2 performances a day,
Mhm.
but again, I've got to hands off to the performers. These were professional performers. They were excellent in their dance, and some of them had just remarkable voices.
Yes.
And they kept those shows alive and fun.
Oh, they
Everyone.
certainly did. They absolutely did.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of work that went into these, and and today they still do.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, the tremendous
Mhm.
amount of work and the tremendous performers that they have. I mean, it looks like fun, and it is fun for the audience. But it's a heck of a lot of work, and boy, you saw people sweat a lot in the back. They were all sitting there with towels, toweling themselves off and stuff,
Including you under the
Including
bright
me,
lights.
yes. I'll tell you. Well, they even had me do a little dance routine. I mean, I had to do a little spin around and this, that, it was like, wow, boy, I
That
never
was
knew.
fun.
Yeah, that was different. Kept thinking, one of these days I'm gonna wind up flat on my face on the stage by not turning right. But knock on wood, it never happened. So, but anyway, but we thought we'd tell you about that.
Share that
And boy,
experience.
I'll tell you, if you ever get to Branson or if you ever get to Pigeon Forge, you should take in some of these shows, especially if you have young ones.
Oh yeah, they're just.
I mean, they're so geared toward kids.
They really are. They're all family shows. You don't go in and you not have to be concerned with anything that you see or hear on the stage. It's all geared to family and again professional. So it's you know you have to pay to get in to watch it, but you will definitely get your money's worth.
And if you go into some of our older videos, the ones that have been out for a while, we do a lot of interviewing with a lot of the people that do some of these performances.
Yes.
I mean, we have a Terry Evans with the magician. And
magician. We had a
Red
gentleman,
Skelton.
Red Skelton. We had a fella that does Elvis, and he does a fabulous job with
fabulous
that.
job.
And then some from a dinner show.
Yeah.
A Christmas actually.
From the Grand Majestic, yes.
They came in and they did a little thing. So
they even did a performance during one of our interviews. So you should take a look at those.
Fun. You should, because those are the kinds of things.
And you'll get a feel for the kind of
absolutely.
talent they have.
Yes.
And I mean, this was just Pigeon Forge, but they have that, you know, in other parts of the country too. And I'll tell you, it's a real feel-good thing when you come out of there. So yeah. And of course, I had fun with everybody I got to meet. So and that made for a very fun and unusual Christmas season for me.
It did. It did.
Anyway, so take a look at those if you get a chance. And by all means, you know, thank you for dropping by again.
Yes, and we do it, remember, we do it on the 10th and the 24th, so we do it twice a month.
Yep.
And again, we, you know, invite you to go to our website, go to our stores, and take a look at those. And
please, if you haven't subscribed. We love seeing our subscriptions grow.
Absolutely,
And we need you to grow those subscriptions. So not only do you subscribe, but you should recommend it to others if you're enjoying this.
That's right.
And, you know, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a Patreon page too, if you want to get really serious and learn a little more about us and have more of a dialogue with us.
What we do. So
Anyway.
So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much again for joining us. And until the next one.
As always, take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.